Welcome back to the show, guys. Today, we got another UFC breakdown, baby. Last night, what was last night? I believe the 13th. Yes, it was September 13th, 2025. We had the UFC Noche event. This was the second time, I believe, that the UFC has done a Noche event. It's the Noche event is basically there to celebrate Mexican Independence Day. A few years ago, Dana White said he wanted to try to get into the Latin market, and so he's really been pushing to try to get more fighters from Mexico, Brazil, and whatnot. They opened up a UFC PI in Mexico City a few years ago, I believe. You're starting to see a lot of talent come out of there. Actually, a lot of these guys that fought on this card, they put down that's kind of like where they do most of their training is at the PI Institute. So I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a great thing that's out there. I think it's going to help push the sport of MMA further in Mexico and help push the UFC maybe to, one day NFL type. Anyways, so what is Mexican Independence Day? Well, Mexican Independence Day, it's usually celebrated on September 16th. It marks the start of Mexico's war for independence from Spain in 1810. On the night of September 15th, 1810, a Catholic priest named Miguel Hidalgo y Castilla rang the church bell in the town of Dolores, now Dolores Hidalgo, Guanajuato. Sorry, can't pronounce that. And called the people to rise up against the Spanish rule. This event is known as El Grito de Dolores, the cry of Dolores. This sparked the Mexican War of Independence, which lasted until 1821. That is about 11 years, when Mexico finally achieved its freedom from Spain. I hear a lot of stories. So, most of you probably don't know this, but I'm actually biracial. I'm Vietnamese and Mexican, pretty much like 50-50, as far as I know. Pause. But my mom was born in Mexico. She's from northern Mexico, a little town called Parral. It's in the city of Chihuahua, or in the state of Chihuahua. It's a small town. My mom came from like a farming town, dude. Honestly, it's small. There's not a lot of people, dude. It's pretty easy going. Not a lot to do out there. A lot of farmland. Good people, man. But anyways, back to the UFC Noche. So UFC Noche, that was at the Frost Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas. I think that was a good move for the UFC. Obviously, Texas has a lot of Hispanic people. It's right there at the border of Mexico. Unfortunately, I feel like Dana White didn't really put in a lot of effort into this. And I get it. It's not like, he is the promoter, though. Don't get me wrong. He is the promoter, so he should be promoting. The first Noche event was crazy. It was at the Sphere. They spent millions of dollars that's the Las Vegas Sphere, the one with the TVs everywhere. They spent millions of dollars on that event, man. I remember watching that with some friends. It was an event, and I'm gonna pause real quick. The light is intense, killing my eyesight, killing my face, killing me softly. But yes, killing me softly. So it was like I said, it was in Texas. I felt like Dana White didn't put a lot of effort. I wouldn't say effort, but he didn't do a big job promoting it as much as he did the first event. The first event was crazy. They had crazy animations. Even the outfits for the ring ladies. The ring ladies were hot as fuck, first of all. Hispanic people, they know how to pick them when it comes to the ladies on television. That's for sure. Go watch the Mexican news. Don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so it was a big event. A lot of money was put into it. It was a great event, honestly. This time around, it didn't look like they put as much effort into it. Obviously, they probably didn't want to spend that much money. But I think if you're trying to get into a market, it's not going to be one event that's going to really you're going to have to do more than one event, right? And you're going to have to do a big. And I get it, though. But Dana White, he was kind of distracted. He also was promoting the Crawford and Canelo fight, dubbed the biggest boxing fight of the century, which I think is true. That was crazy. I have another video coming on that. I'll record that one later. Today I want to for this video, I'm just going to do the UFC one just because I'm trying to keep these videos like 30 minutes or less, just around 30 minutes. But yeah, it was in San Antonio, Texas, Frost Center. Headliner, Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva. This was a featherweight bout. I think it was a little unfortunate. It was, you had a UFC Noche event, which was supposed to, celebrate Mexico Independence Day, but you didn't have a Mexican headliner. Diego Lopes, Lopez, but he goes, it's spelled Lopes, so I like to call him Lopes, but it's pronounced Lopez. But Diego Lopes, I guess he was representing Team Mexico, but he's not a Mexican. He's Brazilian, but he has lived in Mexico for like 13 years. He immigrated there. He's a Mexican citizen. He fights out of there. He lives there. But he's not a natural. He's not a Mexican, man. He's not. And Gene Silva, he's Brazilian. You basically had two Brazilian guys, headlining UFC Noche event. I saw that. I don't know if anyone else caught that. Not that it matters, I guess, but I just think if you're gonna have an event to celebrate, Mexican independence, you should try to have headliners that are Mexican. But anyways, co-main event, we had Rob Font, who originally was supposed to fight Raul Rosas Jr. Rosas Jr. pulled out. He had a rib injury. You had David Martinez fill in as a replacement. I think that was like I'm not sure how short notice that was. I believe it was about 2 weeks or so. You also had Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos, Alden Correa versus Alessandra Costa, Kevin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Those are the main cards, and yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good card, honestly. Like, Kevin Gastelum, he's a big name. The female fights, I kind of skipped through the female fights. I couldn't watch all the fights. I watched a lot of the undercards, but like I said, I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. So I just watched the fights that I knew I was going to talk about. I was kind of preoccupied with something else while I was doing that. But like I said, Rosas Jr., he was expected to fight, but withdrew due to a rib injury. Rob Font said, full send, I'm in. Give me another guy. He got David Martinez. Interesting cat. We'll get to him in a little bit, but very interesting cat. Kevin Gastelum missed weight, man. I don't even know how many times this fool missed weight. Like, did they like moved him up a weight class because he kept missing weight, and then he missed weight again. He was 5 pounds off. I don't know. I mean, he looked chubby and stuff. I kind of thought that he wasn't really training for it. Surprised me though once the fight started. Pause. You probably know where I'm going with that. But yeah, man, Lopes is coming off some notable wins. He challenged for the title, fought Volkanovski, didn't get the dub, but I feel like he learned a lot because he was kind of running through people, and then when he challenged Volk, that was like Volk is Volk, man. Volkanovski, Alexander Volkanovski, for those of you that don't know who I'm talking about, he is gonna go down as one of the greats. Like that dude's for sure gonna get inducted in the Hall of Fame one day. But yeah, he lost the decision, if I remember correctly. Learned a lot, went back to the fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Drawing board. Sorry guys, I'm not even high. I just didn't get a lot of sleep. I've been going to sleep late lately. Yeah, so coming off that loss with Volk, he's hungry. Honestly, dude, that fight, I feel like Lopes's chin was the most valuable tool in his arsenal, man. He took a lot of Gene Silva shots, and he kept coming forward. Shots that put a lot of people down. I really thought that Silva was going to touch him and he was going to go down or just start backing up. But man, dude, he might be Brazilian, but that motherfucker got a chin like a goddamn Mexican. That is a fact, bro. Fun fact, I recently read that Mexicans have like this gene that makes it harder for them to get knocked out. Not sure how true it is, but it is science. It is science. It's out there. Anyways, yeah, and he, went back to the drawing board. He really worked on his wrestling. He's always a good grappler, and he was good at mixing up his grappling with his boxing, but it seemed like he kind of leveled up his boxing. Gene Silva, he's no slouch on the ground, man. He's more of a striker, but he has some high level jiu-jitsu for sure. But yeah, I just felt like, dude, Lopes just leveled up with this, with his wrestling for this fight at least. Silva, undefeated in UFC with number of finishes. He had high momentum coming into this fight. He's a fighting nerd. His style is exciting to watch. I love Lopes, but I kind of wanted Silva to win because I just like that style. He's just a brute. He's a dog. He gets in there. He hits you with anything and everything. So one of the commentators, I can't remember who it was, just said it's like button smashing. He just hits you with everything and anything, and everything he hits you with is with 100%. Like that fool, he just has that shootbox type style. That Vanderlei Silva type style. But man, I mean, honestly, yeah, like I said, he lands hard strikes from every limb. He does elbows, knees, kicks, punches. He's gonna hit with you with 100%, and most people will go down. And he's creative, man. This guy, Gene Silva, he's throwing like hook kicks. He's throwing up kicks, teeps to the face, spinning elbows. He's throwing all the fancy shit like that. But yes, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let me read my notes. I'm sorry, bro. I really need to get my computer set up here. All right, so let's get into the event, bro. The opening main card was, also welcome to another episode of Cannabis in Combat Sports, where we talk about combat sports while we smoke some of California's greatest green. But yes, so opening bout we had Santiago Luna versus Quang. Now, let me tell you something, bro. Like I said earlier, I am biracial. I am Vietnamese and Mexican. I support my people, and I'm also American. I support my nationality, Americans. But you don't really see a lot of like Asians in the UFC, specifically Vietnamese people. Part of it is location, right? Asia's far, right? It's on the other side of the world. Other part of it is accessibility. MMA is still not that big in Asia, right? They have a lot of fight sports, but they're really more into like the striking sports. It's like so you see a lot of kickboxing, Muay Thai coming out of Asia. Those are really big. It's not like you don't have MMA fighters, especially coming out of Thailand. Like there's a lot of gyms, like Thai gyms that have kind of started implementing MMA, the wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Tiger Muay Thai is a big one. Ferrer is a big one that now offers MMA. So I mean, there are MMA fighters, but it's still very new out there. And it's just the opportunities to fight for these leagues out in America are just not that great. I mean, if you think about it, it's like if you're a Thai fighter, you could have a fight every Saturday, every Sunday. They have fights on the streets. They have fights at different events. So, if you're fighting for money, it's like you're going to have more opportunities and like, doing Thai boxing and stuff like that. So when I see a Vietnamese guy coming in, I always, want to root for him. A Nam fan. He was a guy I used to look up to when I was growing up. What was that other guy? The Kung Fu guy. He was a little bit older than Nam fan. I can't remember. I think his name has a Kane spacing. Anyways, supported him, right? So, Quang Le, he comes from Vietnam. He's a Vietnamese native. I believe he lives here in the United States now. But he was fighting Santiago Luna. Luna's coming in. He's got a record of 6-0-0, two TKOs and 4 subs. Le was coming into this fight. He's got a record of 9-2-0, 2 TKOs, 4 subs. Pretty close record. Obviously, you can tell that one's more going to favor the striking. The other's kind of going to favor more of the grappling. And that's like what I said, dude. You're going to see a lot of that. A lot of these fighters that are coming from Asia, they're going to have like a strong striking background, whether it's through traditional sports or kickboxing or something. But yeah, right off the bat, dude, Le threw a hard cross in the first round and a leg kick early on. Luna shoots. Le defends it, and it's kind of looking like Lee's got a lot of answers from Luna just off the first couple seconds. But dude, Le was just getting he looked to be the stronger fighter at first in terms of his striking skills, and he just got too saucy with it. He stayed in the pocket for too long, and he threw some combinations. I think he landed a good cross, but Luna ends up landing I think a cross or something, and he drops. Le drops him twice actually, and the fight gets stopped first round. TKO. I just kind of wanted to add that one just because, like I said, dude's Vietnamese, so I got to throw that out there. I mean, obviously this is the opening card. Le, only Asian on this card, only Vietnamese guy probably on the roster. But it was a good fight, and I like the striking stuff. So this fight ended with the TKO. We like that. So yeah, we'll move on though. Alex Hernandez versus Diego Ferreira. Alex Hernandez had literally just fought Chase Cooper. I believe it was the last UFC event, right? The one in Chicago. He knocked out Chase Cooper. I believe it was with the cross. He used fancy footwork to kind of work around his height disadvantage, right? Chase Cooper, he's tall, dude. I can't remember. He's like above 6 foot, right? Hernandez, he looks like he's 5'8", maybe under 5'8". I wish I had wrote those facts. I'm not going to stop now. I'm on a mother effing roll. But yeah, to speak on Alex Hernandez's style, he's very elusive. He likes to walk around. I'll just drop my joint. Very elusive. He likes to walk around. Uses a lot of footwork, backs up a lot, and uses angles a lot. It worked very well against Chase Cooper. Seeing him do it against Ferreira was a little offsetting. At first, it was cool, move around, make that space, stay on the outside, land your long shots. But after a while, it kind of looked like he was running away from Ferreira, and Ferreira looked like his style was more of like that march forward, kind of like shell up style, and just try to hit you as hard as he can. So it looked like at the beginning of the fight, it was working towards Ferreira's favor just based off that style alone, And honestly, that first round, I remember looking at that first round, I kept thinking, I was like, man, Hernandez is going to have to adjust. He's going to have to stop backing up and make Ferreira respect his power because Ferreira is just marching forward and hitting him. Yeah, second round, though, Hernandez started opening up more, throwing more strikes. Still wasn't as active as I'd like him to be. He was kind of throwing singles, jabs, single kicks inside. stuff like inside kicks, low kicks. Ferreira lands a good combination, a good old 1-2-3 low kick. We like that. I can't remember how much of it landed, but I know the low kick did land. And then Hernandez just drops Ferreira with the cross. Ferreira goes to the ground, and just Hernandez grounds and pounds. And the fight ends, dude. In my opinion, I kind of feel like the ref stopped it a little later than it should have. Dude went down and was just getting pummeled for a minute. I get it. The ref wants to give him a chance to stand up, and we'll get to that because we did have a fight or two where the fighter was able to survive and get up, and and he did good. But this was not one of them, man. Dude got pieced up. He had the biggest freaking tennis ball on the side of his head from getting punched in the elbow. I'll probably add a clip in there somewhere. Probably like right here or something. I think lately I've been doing it in the top right corner, top left corner for you guys, I guess. But here, I'm going to light up my joint, baby. We got I think this is a sativa. I haven't really smoked a lot of sativas lately. And by the way, look at this. Look how fat this is. This is a fatty. I have recently, for a while, I was smoking cones because my work provides cones. And so I just got into the habit of making a cone, and it's just fast. It's just easier. It makes me feel like it is faster. Ran out of the cones I had at home and rolled some joints from hand rolled joints, and I forgot like how much fatter you can make the joints when you roll them themselves. Not only can you make them fatter, but you can make them like tighter. I kind of don't like the cones because they get really loose around the neck area just because you're packing it. But this does not have the problem. This baseball bat of a freaking monster right here. So I think I'm gonna go back to just rolling them. I'm sorry, guys. I don't try to keep this around 30 minutes. But yeah, Hernandez gets the dub, man. He got 2 dubs in like a month or so, bro. Honestly, they're like 30 days apart. Hopefully, he got some type of performance bonus. Didn't look into it, but I know he did the first time. I'm hoping he did again. I mean, we'll see what's next for Hernandez. I take my words back. Honestly, I thought that his style wasn't gonna work, right? Especially against an aggressive guy like Ferreira, but he made it work, and I'm very interested to see where the future takes this young man because, I like seeing different styles. I like seeing people do things a little bit differently. So we'll see if he can. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of some Wonder Boy type stuff. You got to chase him down. You got to do all that work, right? Next fight I want to talk about, man. Kelvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Dustin Stoltzfus, can't even pronounce his name. Don't even know where he's from. Big freaking guy, though, dude. This guy was huge. This was like, I believe, a middleweight bout, I think. I could be wrong. Stoltzfus. Can't even pronounce that name, dude. Okay. Unpause. So, yeah, Kelvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltz. Kelvin Gastelum coming in with the 21-10-1 record. That might have been 20 at the time. I wrote this morning, the record. I'm sorry, I didn't finish writing my notes last night because I was busy. But it might have been 20-10-1. Stoltz, he's coming in with a 16-8-0 record. At the time, I think it was a 16-7-0. Kelvin Gastelum, he's got 6 wins via KO, 6 via sub, 7 fights ended in the first round. Stoltzfus, he's coming in with 3 TKOs, 6 subs, 6 first round finishes. The stats are interesting because when you're matching people, it's like I think you have to go off the stats, but then like it's like there's the stats and then there's actual there's fight presence and actual fight technique, right? So you can sit there and match someone based off their win-loss record and how many times they finish first rounds. But it's really the styles that will make fights, right? And so you'll see a guy, and I'll get to this, dude, especially and this is a fight I actually want to talk about, the Rob Font versus the Hernandez fight. That fight on paper doesn't make sense. But then if you were to watch each of them fight individually, you would be like, okay, I could see this fight happening, right? This is something that we can make. So it's an interesting thing when it comes to I don't know if it's all sports because I don't watch baseball, I don't watch basketball, but I feel like those sports, maybe the stats matter a little bit more. They paint a better picture at the very least, But yeah, Kelvin Gastelum, he's I think he was a Ultimate Fighter winner. I can't remember what season, but Ultimate Fighter winner. He's the veteran here. A lot of people should know his name. For a while, I mean, he fought for the belt, I think, on more than one occasion. He lost to Israel Adesanya horribly. A lot of people were saying he was washed, myself included. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he had problems with weight cuts. He had to move down a weight. I think he was forced to move up a weight. I'm sorry. I don't even think it was an option. I think they just told him bro, we're tired. I wasn't sure what his future was going to be. I mean, But and coming into this fight, watching watching the fighters before the event, during the interviews and the press and all that, Gastelum, he was looking not in shape. He was looking kind of fat. I mean, he moved up a weight class, and it looked like he said because he missed weight by 5 pounds. He doesn't. I think he's only 5'8", bro. He's 5'8", and he's fighting at what weight class was that? That was a middleweight bout. It's a middleweight fight, man, and he's 5'8". He was fighting this freaking big ass white guy, Dustin Stoltzfus. Sounds German or something. Stoltzfus. By the way, happy Oktoberfest. I think it started right for all my Germans. He's fighting this big ass freaking German looking guy, dude. Did not look like he should be in that weight class. Still shows up, over. It just was like a lot of questions, man. I mean, I didn't know it was gonna happen. Both these fighters are coming off of L, so I felt like they both should have been motivated to like get in there at the gym and make weight and do what they got to do to get back on course, right? But I mean, when the fight started, I ate those words, bro. Kelvin Gastelum immediately takes the center, lands. He's landing. He appears to be the faster fighter, bro. His punches are landing more crisp. His fight IQ is phenomenal. He's able to move out the way, just slightly get back in, land his 1-2. His 1-2, I think, is what was money for him, and it makes sense. Obviously, when you're fighting the taller fighter, your long attacks are going to be the ones that you want to use the most, right? Ideally, when I fight someone way taller than me, I personally like to just use kicks. A lot of teeps to their stomach, low kicks, left kicks to the body. But if you're a puncher and maybe you're not. You don't like kicking so much. Obviously, your straight punches. I would love to be able to throw a left hook on a guy that's like 6'3" and land it every time. It would be beautiful. Overhands work too, But honestly, in my opinion, just your straight punches, your 1-2, your teeps, your left kicks, your low kicks. Those are gonna work the best because it helps kind of let you be a little bit more on the outside, And it showed. Gastelum was doing a lot of 1-2s. They were landing almost every time. Came in as a southpaw. Stoltzfus looked like he couldn't deal with the speed, man. He looked so much slower and he looked just kind of like petrified. Now this could also be like, mind you, this could also be because the weight cut, right? Kelvin Gastelum came in 5 pounds over. He had to cut 5 pounds less than Dustin had to, right? So that wears on a fighter. It's like going into the fight with already better cardio, right? It's like you feel better, and he's moving up a weight class too. He's a smaller dude that's just not having to worry about the weight cut, really, to be honest. So he's his power is able to go further. His speed is there, and he just overall feels better, right? But honestly, Stoltzfus, he just was frozen, bro. He couldn't land a lot of stuff. He was landing some good kicks, pretty much some body kicks, low kicks, but he just didn't keep on it. I think there was a point where he kept slamming right body kicks to Gastelum's stomach, and Gastelum was southpaw, so they're landing like money. I think the problem with that is when you're a slower guy, it's like and you're taller, so you're able to land your kicks and stay safe where they can't. But then it's like you don't really have the ability to throw something after that. You throw a kick and then you got to put your foot down. Now you're kind of just in the air, right? So if the other guy is smaller and faster, he can come and capitalize on your kick by eating it and then returning with something fast. In Kevin's case, it was like a 1-2 or a jab. I think Stoltzfus should have adjusted, right? He should have been like, all right, let me throw like a right kick and then just, put my foot down for a second, throw a right, like just kind of spam it, like do those speed kicks, or maybe throw a right kick and throw a right hand behind it. That's money, honestly. A lot of people, if you're throwing a right kick to the body, and you can full send that right hand over the top, dude. Even though it's weird because you're not balanced and you're towards your southpaw side, it's money because it's like if they're either trying to catch it or counter, now they got to either defend it and you're safe, or they try to go in on it and they eat it. We just saw Jackie Boonton. She got knocked out by that. What was that chick? She was like that white chick. I don't know, but it was basically off a right kick and then a right cross. But yes. So I mean, Gastelum he just was opening him up with combinations, man. I mean, Gastelum ate some low kicks, especially on the calf, But dude, those combinations were just money. At the end of it, I mean. But yeah, Gastelum was just more active the whole fight. He just was hitting him more, kept it mostly a boxing fight. Stoltzfus at times, especially in the third round, like just only used his hands, which I didn't think makes sense. I was like, it's not working for you, bro. You got to change the plan. He tried to take him down a few times and he couldn't. And it seemed like anytime he would kind of like just do emergency shoots, or like what's the word I'm looking for? Like panic shoots. He would get hit with some hard combinations, like especially there's some times where he got hit with Gastelum's cross. And he would just immediately shoot from the takedown from the outside, just throwing both of his hands out and it just, I don't know. It didn't look good. I think he goes back to drawing board. But Kevin Gastelum proving why he's up there and why he's the man back in the spot. Would love to see him fight again. And actually do a good weight cut and maybe even move down a weight class, bro. Honestly, I feel like he could move down a weight class. Maybe he could just stop. Like he would be a lot stronger than these guys if he went down. And with that speed, bro, he's so much faster. But we'll see. He's in middleweight right now. Another fight that I want to talk about, man. Another fight. Rafa Garcia versus Jared Gordon. Garcia is coming in with the MMA record of 17-4-0. Gordon by 21-7-0. Garcia has 1 TKO, 9 subs. Gordon, he's got 8 KOs, 2 subs. First fight finishes. First round finishes. I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't finish writing words out. I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I get to it, and then I get to it. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing, bro. I don't know what I'm talking about, dude. Yeah, that was a good fight, man. Honestly, it was the skill set wise. I feel like they were close. They were mostly, for the most part, they're throwing a lot of striking. I think I read someone say, I think it was Aljo was saying that Jordan was hit by a car like a few days before the fight, and he up or something, and he's still continuing with the fight because he's not no biatch. I don't know. I can't confirm nor deny that, but if this is true, what a freaking incredible performance after getting hit by a car. He did take the L, but I mean, like I said, dude got hit by a car. What can you expect? But yeah, it was a good fight, man. Second round is where the fight ended, or where the biggest turn of the fight went. Up until that point, I felt like the fight was pretty even, especially with their punches. They're kind of just going blow for blow. But in the second round, Garcia started adding elbows, and he cuts Gordon with, I think, the first elbow he throws. He throws it from standing up. I think it's a right elbow. He brings it across, cuts him on the side, and he's like, oh, damn, these elbows are working. And he just kind of kept going back to that. Like, they would be going in striking exchanges, like, primarily with the punches, boxing, and he would just slide an elbow in. And he hit him with the elbows a few times, and he backed him up. And then, Garcia was landing some good body shots. He set up a cross. Yeah, I mean, Gordon, at some point, he goes down. Garcia gets on top. He, attempts to try. I think he hit him with the cross and dropped him or something. I can't remember. I didn't write it down. But Garcia, he at first he goes for the choke. Immediately, just decides to abandon it. Maybe he felt like he didn't get it. Maybe he felt like, I don't know. He switched and then started just doing TKO. He gets some ground and pound. And, that's it, bro. After, basically, ref stopped it. I think that showed a high fight IQ on Garcia. They're going through those boxing exchanges. He's literally going tit for tat, shot for shot. And he decides to be a little bit more creative. He throws that elbow, and good on him for going, all right, let me keep doing this until it stops working. And that's how a lot of fights happen, man. Honestly, a lot of fights, it's like someone does something and they're like, oh, this works, and they'll just keep doing it. And it's up to the other fighter to now adjust and find a way to stop that, But yeah, the elbows worked for him, and just being able to transition from going for the choke to the ground and pound, that shows good ring IQ. Gordon, give it up to him. Next fight I want to talk about, dude, Rob Font versus David Martinez, man. So, Rob Font was supposed to fight Raul Rosas Jr. Jr. ended up getting a rib injury, and he had to pull out of the fight. I think it was a few days to a week or two before the event. David Martinez ended up stepping in. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier, right? And hopefully I didn't cut this out. Maybe I remember not to cut it out because I try to trim these down. But Martinez on paper did not look like he had any business fighting Rob Font. Rob Font is Rob Font, man. He's been out there and he's been fighting the best of the best. He's a ranked fighter. I think he's ranked like top 10. I'm not sure what number, but he's ranked, right? He's up there, top 10. And man, he's just put on wars out there, and he's fighting Martinez. This was his UFC debut. He's fought in these other promotions, but it's like I said, this was his UFC debut, right? He's fighting a ranked guy, top 10 as his debut. So that was an interesting matchup. Like I said earlier, on paper, it doesn't make sense. But if you watch Martinez, this fool is a motherfucker, bro. This guy's got so Rob Font, he's got an MMA record, 22-9-0, right? 9 KOs, 4 subs, 9 first round finishes. Martinez, he's got an MMA record of 13-1-0, 9 fight win streak, 10 KOs, 6 first round finish. Obviously, my guy's a freaking striker, right? He is a striker in Mexico. Something I noticed when I was training out there and meeting some people, the striking out there is more like traditional stuff. So it's more like Kung Fu is really big, like karate, taekwondo. Taekwondo is super big around where I was at. So a lot of kids, they start with these traditional styles, and then they start doing MMA, right? And then they'll add like wrestling or something like that. I see that a lot, where I'll see like a boxer, right? So if it's either a dude that's boxing, and then same story but with boxing, right? Those are the two big things that you see. You're not really seeing a lot of Muay Thai come out of Mexico. You're not really seeing a lot of kickboxing coming out of Mexico for some reason. They're just not that popular. This kid Martinez, he comes from the camp of the traditional. He was like a kung fu guy or I think a taekwondo guy. He likes the fancy kicks. Uses the side kick a lot, bro. He throws that side kick. He threw it from the beginning of that fight to the end of that fight. I can't even tell you. I wish I got a counter to tell you guys. Maybe I'll do a little counter right there. Boop, little fun fact. But I like that style, dude. Personally, I like it. But when you see him fight and then you see Rob fight, you could be like, all right, this is a fight to make. Pause, drink some water. Martinez got a crazy opportunity. I think Rosas, I would have loved to see that fight. I think it would have been a better matchup for Rob Font, you know, and I think that would have helped build Rosas' brand. Martinez stepped up though, and he got the dub, man. Honestly, I'll keep it short and simple, man. Rob Font could not do so. All right, so similar story to the guy that fought Chase Cooper, Alex Hernandez. This dude Martinez was so evasive, but like times 10, you know. He's more evasive and he was throwing more strikes. So that's a little bit about his style. He moves around a lot, uses a lot of side kicks, a lot of long attacks, but then once you get in range, his boxing wasn't bad, you know. He kind of has a similar style to how I like to approach like fighting, you know. I basically like to use my kicks to set up my punches. So I like to use side kicks and all that. But man, I didn't think it was gonna go down like that. My guy Rob Font, I would have had money on that guy. And he freaking lost. He couldn't touch Martinez, man. There was a couple of moments where yeah, he touched him up and he was doing good. But anytime he would land some combinations, land a hard shot, my guy would just eat it and then move, sidestep, back up, and then, you know, throw a side kick, throw a kick, you know, throw his punches back. He just kept frustrating Rob Font, man. Rob Font just look frustrated, and he looked like he started trying to mix it up with like I remember he was trying to time a spinning backhand, like when Martinez would dip to his backside. He was like, all right, let me see if I could do a spinning backhand, but couldn't do it, man. You know, and this kid's kicks were crazy, man. Martinez's kicks were so fast, throwing teeps, kicks to the body, low kicks. Like honestly, like you would see him turn his body to go into the kick, and then the kick was done. Like he just was so fast with it. And I mean, after the second round, he looked like he slowed, or actually after the first round, during the second round, Martinez slowed down a lot. And I think it was just from his style, from moving and kicking. I was like, damn. And that's when Rob I think he won that round. He was able to come forward more and land some strikes. The third round though, that kid Martinez, he got a second wind, and, you know, he basically went back to what he did with round one. A lot of kicks, side kicks, body kicks, you know, boxing when he's close. And he ended up getting the decision, man. Rob Font tried to take him down a few times, couldn't take him down. So, dude, random fact about Martinez. My guy's a freaking doctor. He's a freaking doctor. So he literally was like, all right, so I'm going back to the office tomorrow. Sign some patients' photos. And he's like 32. He's a doctor. He just got into the UFC. His sister, she's a chemist. She's also in the UFC. I think she got there before him. What a family, dude. Just, I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that. I'm over here just smoking weed, talking to the internet. We can't all be God's favorite, right? Yeah, I think the other thing too is Rob Font, he was investing in a lot of body shots, but they were not making Martinez go down. I feel like if he had it was more 5 rounds or something, I felt like that would have kind of been more better for Rob Font. As Martinez slows, he would have been able to catch him, but it wasn't. It was a 3-rounder, and my man Martinez gets the dub. Yeah, Martinez, what a win for him, man. I mean, that's going to definitely prepare him to stardom. Honestly, I feel like these, if you're going to get into the UFC, this is going to sound racist. I hope it doesn't, but it's not. You should learn English. It's going to help your career a lot, man. You should learn English. I wish I could remember what this kid's interview was. I don't remember. But anyways, yeah, so we'll see what's next for Martinez. Maybe who do we give him, man? This brings up an interesting question, though, right? So it's like I said, Martinez had the skills to beat Rob Font, right? But his strength came in his speed and his distance control, right? The question, so when you have a guy who has a natural edge on other guys, the question now remains, can he become champion? Can he beat the top 5 guys, the top 3 guys, right? Because it's like there's having natural ability, right? That takes you far, but it's technical skill that really is champion mentality, right? You'll see champions that they like a lot of these champions, dude, they don't have like any amazing technical skill. They're not like the best. Like, yeah, you'll have your guys that are like knockout artists. It's like I touch you, like your Ilias, right? I touch you and you go down, right? You'll have like your submission artists or whatever, dude, or you guys that have the best cardio, right? You know what I mean? But those aren't always the guys that become champion, and they're not the guys that stay champion, right? It's having the technical skill is what makes you the champion. And if you have a biological skill, that makes greatness, right? Having the biological skill mixed with the work ethic and the fight IQ and the knowledge, that's when you get like your Anderson Silva, your George St. Pierre's, right? Martinez, it's like I felt like all I saw and all he relied on was that speed and distance management, right? Primarily the speed, right? I want to see how he does against a top 5 guy now, you know? Does he have the technique to carry those skills, right? And if he's lacking the technique, is the biological advantage enough to beat people with the better technique, right? To beat these more. And then I'm not saying Martinez doesn't have good technique, right? He had good technique. His hands were up every time he punched. He was able to, you know, when he kicked, he kept his hands up. Dude, like, I mean, he's kicking just flawless, you know what I'm saying? You can't just him on any of that. But what I mean is just like, it's just hard to tell because like I didn't get to see much of him, right? I mean, I saw him only this one time. Obviously it was 3 rounds, so I saw 90 minutes of him, or 15 minutes of him, but I've gotten to see him fight other guys, right? Is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm just rambling because I'm freaking high now, baby. All right, so let's go to our main event because I feel like we're running out of time. I see 44 minutes minus the stuff I got to cut out, empty space. Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva. I mean, people call him John Silva, but unpause. So now back to our main event, right? We had Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva. I feel like people were pronouncing Gene Silva different. I think they're calling him John. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just reading these freaking words, man. All right, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not like a linguist or anything. Please forgive me, Gene Silva. Gene Silva, man, interesting character. It reminds me of a Creed song. No, I wouldn't say Creed. Oh, okay. What's that Russian song? Du hast me. He's so emotional, man. He gets angry and happy, mostly angry. Very stoic guy. He freaking reminds me of Vanderlei Silva. He reminds me of that whole shootbox shootbox era. Brazilian, maybe that's just how they are. I don't know. Fighting style reflects that. He's a freaking dog, gets in your face, does not let off the gas, doesn't stop, and hits you with everything and anything, dude. He hits you with punches, kicks, elbows, knees. He'll take you down, you know. He hits you hard with everything. Everything he hits you with, he's expecting it to make you go down and knock you out. And I love it. He's a very exciting fighter to watch. Diego Lopes, man, what can I say about my man Diego Lopes, man? We got a lot of love for Diego Lopes. He represents Mexico now. He pretty much is Mexican. I mean, he's Brazilian, but you wouldn't know it, man, when the way he dresses, the way he lives his life, man. He's one of us, baby. Diego Lopes, he's you know, his style, great conditioning, good boxing, good wrestling. He usually uses mostly his wrestling to set up his boxing. Actually, it's like he's shooting for takedowns, and people are kind of like, you know, they're trying to stop it, and then it opens up his hands. A lot of good ground and pound. You know, this guy, you know, he's been putting in work, man. We all know Diego Lopes. Diego Lopes, he's coming in. He's 27-7-0, 11 KOs, 12 subs, 5 first-round finishes. Silva's coming in. He's got a 16-2-0. He's on a 13-fight win streak, 12 KOs, 10 first-round finishes. Interesting fact, Gene Silva's wife or girlfriend, his girl, is part of his camp. She holds pads for him. I didn't even know this, bro. I saw her. So she came out with him. I think she was in his corner too, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but she came out with them. Dude, they had an intense moment. He was there like talking all quietly, and he's looking straight into her eyes. And then I think she slapped him or he slapped her or something. I think there was some slapping involved and maybe a butt slap. And then he smiled, gave her a kiss, and went into it. It was weird. I don't know. I was just like, kind of like, is this the beginning of, this reminds me of a Pornhub scene or something. MMA fighter fights with chick. I don't know, man. Anyways, maybe I'll cut that out. I'm sorry, Gene Silva. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me, man. I take it back. Be my friend, please. We like friends. Diego Lopes, man, he came out like a freaking Mexican, dude. His walkout song was, I wish I could remember the name of it, dude. It's a very famous Mexican song, but it's like a cumbia song or something. He came out to the cumbia Mexican hyphy music. Um, and you know, the crowd loved him, man. The crowd was so loud that night. Okay, that's it. Okay. Right off the bat, dude, Gene Silva opens up with the teep to Lopez's face, man. And remember that because he went back to that later on. Goes to teep to Lopez's face, he just ate it. He just ate it. I mean, Lopes, it seemed like every time he grabbed Silva, he was able to drag him down, man. He would grab a body lock and just drag him down, land a couple ground and pounds. But to Silva's credit, every time Lopes grabbed him and took him down, Gene Silva was able to fight his way back up top. He would eat some damage, sometimes more than others, but he would make it back to his feet. Honestly, dude, like I said earlier, Lopez's biggest tool for this fight was his chin. He ate some shots from freaking Silva, shots that have put down many, many men. He ate it and came forward. I was super impressed. That teep to the face was hard as fuck, just stayed in there. Punches to the face, up kicks, dude. He ate a gnarly up kick that folded so many people. You know, Michael Chandler got a famous one off Ferguson. You know, that's just straight up to the jaw, man. And especially when you don't expect it. But he ate it and he went the storm. He ate some spinning elbows and he just kept coming forward. It almost looked like it didn't hit him. I'm super curious to know if it even hurt him. Because it didn't look like it knocked him off balance or he just ate it and just was focused. You know, he was just like a freaking dog. In the first round, Lopez was able to take Silva down, right? And he literally landed ground and pound for like 3 minutes straight, cut him open. I thought the fight was going to end in that first round. This was the fight out. So this is what I was talking about when I was referring to reffing stopping fights, right? I think refs should step in to stop fights more often than not, right? And I've met people, right? So I've met people, fighters, UFC fighters, some who are experiencing signs of CTE, and it freaking breaks my heart, dude. And now that I'm older, I think about it a lot more, and it freaking makes me sad, bro. The sport is a beautiful sport, and unfortunately, there's long-term consequences that are associated with the sport, and you know, and one of them is brain damage. So I think more often than not, these refs should stop in, especially if the fighters are getting paid what I think they're getting paid, which doesn't sound like a lot. The refs should stop, right? Just step in more often than not. But there are exceptions, right? One of the exceptions would be if it's like a title fight, if it's a main event fight. These are important fights. These are like the top of the top, right? These are the guys in the top 10 or the guys that are trying to make it into the top 10. I think in those cases, you can let the fighter take more damage than you would on these other cards. It's kind of, and I know it's hard. How did you figure this out and all this? But that's what's going to make a good ref, right? And the other exception is if you know your fighter. If you know you have a fighter that has been able to get up to show that the damage, he was damaged well. I know it's bad for his health. He's still going to get the brain damage no matter what. Or maybe he just doesn't have the gene. We don't know that, right? But this is a career, you know, and if he can take the damage and get up, then I think maybe the ref can maybe let it go, right? Of course, this means you have to have good refs. Your refs got to know the fighters. They got to pay attention to these guys. They got to understand when it's a championship fight. Maybe I should let it go, right? And you know, we have a lot of good refs, but that first round, the ref let it go, right? And Gene Silva was finally, after 3 minutes of ground and pound, was able to land up. And he kicks Lopes in the face. I think he lands an up kick. He gets up to his feet and lands an up kick at the end of the round. He's beat up though. He's bleeding, but Silva was landing some freaking strikes in that second round. They were hard as fuck. And I could not believe that Lopez was just taking it and coming forward and returning, dude, not giving any fucks, dude. And I mean, Lopez also was a bigger fighter, so he was able to he was a bigger fighter, but you know, Silva was able to work around that height advantage, and he was using his like up kicks and like teeps his face and shit like that to kind of discourage Lopez from just coming in on him. And I think that also with Silva being so aggressive, you know, like always pressing forward, right? It kind of helped. It kind of helped with that reach disadvantage, right? Because it's like you got kicks coming at you and he's walking forward, so you got to either move out the way or just eat it, which was a lot of what Lopez did. He just fucking ate it and just, you know, would return. Yeah, he gets to his back. Oh, this was a crazy scramble, actually, yeah. So he takes his back, and then Lopez, he tries to spin out of it. There's like a scramble, and Lopez actually ends up getting up and gets out of it. But then Lopes he chains that takedown with another like hip slam or something, or like foot or like some type of sweep, and gets on top of him. Yeah, so he gets on top of him, and so he chained the takedown, gets on top of him. Silva ends up standing up off of it. He did get taken down for a little bit, stands up off of it, and it just from there just goes into a crazy striking exchange, dude. And yeah, he goes into a crazy striking exchange, and Silva, he's like chasing Lopes, and Lopes ends up getting that same spinning back elbow that Silva was practicing or was attempting. I think he attempted it twice. Lopez ends up landing it, bro. And it honestly worked because Silva was being so aggressive and chasing him down. Lopez kind of was like backing up, and then he kind of just turned into it and got him, and bam. What a crazy... We've been getting a lot of spinning elbow knockouts, actually, dude. The last UFC event, I think we had 2 or 3, right? Yeah, we had 2 or 3, and then now we have another one here. It's like, what's going on? Our spinning elbows. Ooh, our elbows taking over MMA. Oh, boy. Guys, you heard it first. Most prediction MMA or elbows, the latest craze in mixed martial arts. Let's see if it happens. I hope it does. And do we give Mike Perry credit for it with his dirty boxing, which allows elbows? Maybe. I think so, right? Because if you're a fighter, right, you fight. You're fighting for dirty boxing. You start landing you have a whole camp where you're practicing boxing and elbows, and then you get back, you go to the UFC, and you're like, oh yeah, I got this in my repertoire. Who knows? Anyways, he lands a spinning back elbow. I'll probably add a clip here. Spinning back elbow knocks out Gene Silva. Gene Silva is a bloody mess. The damage he took from that first round and that second round, dude, leaking. After there's some controversy, there's a lot of talking going on between the two camps, right? After the fight, Lopes went over to Silva's corner. This was when Silva was, I think, still on the floor getting up, and he said something to them. I'm not sure exactly what he said to them, but it caused an argument. And then from there, Silva gets up, and then now he's arguing with Lopes. People were asking what happened. Well, from what I understand, what happened was Lopes said something to Silva's corner, and Silva stepped in because that's his people. Or he probably didn't even hear what he said, but regardless of what he said, he's like, he knew it came out. It probably wasn't good. I mean, it's whatever. I think they hugged it out afterwards or something. When you have a fight like that, it's hard to stay mad at each other, right? Like, so there's a saying. I don't know who says it, but it says you cannot hate that which you understand. And I think there's some truth to that, or maybe it's just if you have empathy. I don't know. But when you have a war like that, you understand the shit out of each other, right? You understand each other in a way that not many people understand you. There's always going to be some type of love, I think, in my opinion, after a brawl like that, So maybe not always, but there's going to be some type of respect. There's some fighters that they're always going to hate each other, whatever, Tito, Chuck, all that good stuff. Some of you young kids might not even know who they are. I looked them up, I guess. But anyways, so they hugged it out. I think they're cool, man. But Lopes, he takes Silva's undefeated UFC record, handing the fighting nerds, each of them, they got a dub this year, or they got an L this year in 2025. I think it's whatever though, dude. People are like making a bigger deal than it needs to be, bro. Honestly, everyone's gonna lose, dude. And look at Prost, bro. He lost to Ian Gary, and then he came back with the crazy knockout, spinning back elbow, bam. So, oh my god, I just realized that Prates knocked out his opponent with the spinning back elbow, just like how Gene Silva got knocked out by his opponent in his fight with a spinning back elbow. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Holy math is the meme with the math. What's happening? Oh, shit, aliens. Is this related to Kirk? I don't know, man. I don't know. I went off with that. I probably got to remove that Kirk thing. They're probably gonna freaking scan that word and ban my or shadow ban me. I'm not even gonna get into that here. Sorry, I wish I could, but we're not doing that right now. Anyways, Gene Silva gets the L. Lopes takes the dub. What's next for Lopes? He's got to fight. He's got to fight for the title now, I think. I mean, he was higher ranked than freaking Silva already, but what is he? I mean, what does he do, right? I mean, who's in the division? Let's see real quick. But it sucks once you do stuff like these rankings, because I get it. You want to fight for the title, but then you come across like you don't always like you wouldn't get a Martinez versus Fontvs if you're just looking at the rankings, right? I guess, but whatever. We'll play this ranking game. I mean, Alex, I guess, has got the title still. Do we do the rematch? I would be down, but then I mean, it was pretty gnarly how. Should we watch a Evlov fight with Lopes? I would be down. Is that fair for Lopes? Is that fair for Lopes though? Lopes and Aljo would be a good fight. Honestly, if I was Dana, I would be down to be like, hey, Lopes, we'll give you the bag, dude. I know you're ranked higher than Aljo, but we'll give you the bag, bro. You fight Sterling, we give you a couple mil. You with it or not? You know what would be a great fight? Did Diogo Lopes and Yair Rodriguez ever fight? I think they did, huh? Nah, there's some bad blood, baby. There's some. The first thing I pulled up is there's some. Hey, I do remember there's some. Hey, I don't think they ever fought. That would be a good fight too. I would be down to watch that. If you are you guys down? Look at man. Evolov would be cool. Can't know Mosford. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I mean, honestly, I think Lopes could get that rematch with Volk. If I was him though, I wouldn't, dude. I would spend a little bit more time getting better, but then you do run the risk of like taking an L and making it hard to fight for the belt. I think if you talk to Dana and you tell him, hey, I want to contend for the belt, but give me one more fight or something, you know? I get one more fight in, dude. Work on some shit, you know? Fuck, that's hard though, dude, because you run the risk, you know. I mean, Volk could be taken out. He could get injured. Something could happen with, I don't know, man. Either Lopes fights for the belt, or I would be down to see him fight Rodriguez or Sterling. If you fight Sterling, that'd be an interesting matchup. I think give him some money for that fight because you know Sterling's got some star power. That'd be interesting. I'm gonna say Yair, Sterling, or just for the belt. Any one of those would be a good fight, man. That's all we got, baby. So this concludes another episode, another fight recap. UFC Lopes versus Silva. UFC Noche. Who does Silva fight next? I'd be down to see Gene Silva and should we have him fight Brian Ortega, dude? Will that just beat him? Fight Brian Ortega I don't know if I want to see that because look, all right, let's say Ortega wins, then what? He stays in the UFC and now we got Gene Silva's got an L to Ortega. I don't think he would lose Ortega, but maybe give him Ortega for a money fight, a little tune-up fight, and tell Ortega, give him the money, and tell Ortega, if you lose, then you're cut. I don't know if he's cut already, but be like, yeah, if you lose, you're cut. That'd be interesting. Rodriguez would be an interesting matchup for Silva. That's kind of a big jump in rankings, but that'd be an interesting one too, you know. Nah, you know, I'm gonna run it. Let's just do Silva and Ortega. If Ortega loses, cut him. Offer them both a lot of money. I don't know. What do I know? I'm not you know, that's why I don't do the mashups. Anyways, other than that, I'm gonna cut it off. I think I went over 30 minutes. Hopefully not. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, guys.